Good morning, everybody. How are you all? I hope you're well. It's October. Oh my goodness. It's changed so quickly. I've kind of been caught on the hop a bit. We've literally been having these, well, tons and tons of rain at the end of September, but it was still really quite warm. In the mid to high teens, lovely during the day, nighttime sort of hovering around 10. The last couple of days, we've lost 10 degrees. Now the thing is, not quite sure what to expect. I'm going to give you a little tour of the garden now for the beginning of October. I haven't been to the garden for a few days, and I think that for the last 2 nights, now I don't know whether we've had an actual frost, but it's certainly been chilly. And like I said, I haven't had a proper look at the garden coming here this morning, except for the chard. I'll show you that in a second. But yes, it's time to get a wriggle on in October. Tons to do still. And actually, I think this month is going to be one of the busiest months of the year because it's all about getting those last harvests out which need to come out. So a lot of the more tender things, getting beds put to sleep for the winter, which is going to mean gathering leaves, compost, cardboard, all of that stuff. So this is the month when it's going to change most dramatically, apart from it's sort of, this isn't going to make sense, it's counterpoint in the spring. In other words, all the structures are going to come down. It's going to look flat and very different. But that's all to come. Never mind that for now. Let's get out and see how the garden is faring. And fingers crossed these couple of cold nights haven't done too much damage. Eek! So here we are at the top of the plot as usual. Oh, good morning, Rosie. Off she goes to explore the shed. And I'm so delighted that finally the cosmos came. I love this really deep pink one. This is so beautiful. Look at that, gorgeous. And there's absolutely tons and tons of buds on it. And I think I was mentioning before, this is quite cold tolerant. A really hard frost will do it in, but, well, yeah, if it's just around 2, 3 for a few nights, it should manage. This one is the one with the little sort of double petals. I think this came from my friend Jackie in Canada. I'm trying to remember now, but the petals almost form like little trumpets. Isn't that adorable? Oh, beauty, you need a proper close-up. You're so gorgeous. Yes, so I'm delighted that the cosmos finally turned up to the party. And it's just such a lovely splash of colour at this time of year. And also the foliage is such a beautiful, vibrant green. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you at the end of this bed, this is bonkers. Do you remember? Back at the beginning of July, I went up to my mum's to help her with her garden and some other sort of slightly more physical stuff after she'd had, let's just get that verbena out of the way, after she'd had an operation. And she asked me to divide a clump of helenium for her because it was just getting too big. So I did, and I brought a piece home, and it's only gone and flowered already. So that's it's pretty amazing actually, because I did the division and it was just sitting in a bucket of water for about 5 or 6 days whilst I was at my mum's, brought it back to London and got it in the ground. I wasn't sure it would survive at all, having been at the ground so long, but yeah, tough as old boots, and loads, oh excuse me, that's a long bend, loads of beautiful new growth on it. So my little Lancashire helenium is obviously happy in London, brilliant. But the rest of this bed, it's very much a bed that is dying back. The lily, I tend to leave the tree lily. I let it sort of go brown, I let the foliage drop off, and then all I will do when the time comes is I just cut the stems off right down at soil level, but That probably won't be for another couple of months or so. The little verbena that's in here, oh, still a little bit of flower, but that will just stay over the whole winter as well, because the seed heads are enjoyed by the finches, so that can stay too. It's a mix at this time of year of sort of tidying, but not tidying too much, so we still have habitat for insects, birds, etc. Now, this is what I was a bit worried about because of the cold nights, but just give them a little squeeze. Yeah, they're fine. So the last of the peppers ripening. What I'll probably do in the next couple of weeks, keeping an eye on the forecast, if we are forecast a number of nights that are sort of below 4 or 5, I'll just have the rest off. Even if they're green, I'll have them off, get them chopped up and get them in the freezer. I'm loath to pick them off just yet though, because they are such a lovely bit of colour at this time of year. Oh, they've done great this year. I've had so many off already. And you'll notice behind, all the cucumber foliage is now off, chopped up in the compost bin. And it'll eventually be spread on one of the beds. I haven't spread it on this bed, as in chop and drop, which I'll talk about in another video, because actually I need to clear this bed out to get it ready to sow my broad beans. Never ends, does it? The squash, the foliage is almost gone. Now the squash, it's another one, it's a bit of a tricky balancing act with the weather, but normally I wouldn't bother harvesting till any time now in October. I just leave them as long as I can until there is going to be frost, and then I'll have them away. But I can finally see that I've got 1, 2, oh, that's not a butternut, that's not, 3, 4, oh, and one hiding right at the top. So it looks like 5 butternuts from 6 plants. Rubbish. Never mind. Right, I think the tomatoes are done. There's just a few left, and I was just leaving them to see if they would ripen. But again, oh, there are a couple down there to pick. Again, it's one of those things where by this stage of the year, in the next couple of days or so, all these plants will be coming out. Any fruits that are left on them, I'll have, I mean, you just can't see them, they're so tiddly, but any fruit that is left, I will harvest and bring it home to see if it will ripen a bit at home, and if it doesn't ripen, I will think about a green curry. And then the beds that they're currently in, they won't be in use until next May, so they will get a covering of whatever material I can lay my hands on. They were really quite heavily mulched in the beginning of, I think it was about the beginning of June when I planted the tomatoes out. So there's masses of grass clippings, chopped up leaf litter. So there's a good lot of material put down there anyway. I will just add to it. So as I say, I'll get the plants out, just whip off the cardboard and bricks for now, pile a load more stuff on, and then get it covered in cardboard. Oh, night garden. I've still got loads and loads of beans to pick. Now the thing is, we have had basically about 2 weeks of, it's just so much rain. And even when we've had a clear day, we've been so wet afterwards. But yeah, there's masses. So that is going to be a priority job in the next couple of days. How are these weird and wacky borlotti doing? Yeah, they still feel quite fleshy. What I'll do at this stage is I'll look at the weather forecast and see what's due for the next couple of weeks. If it's going to be just tons and tons of rain, I'll have them off, even though they're quite fleshy. I'll have them off and I'll dry them either in the shed or at home before podding them. yeah, I don't want to risk, if it is going to be really, really wet, well, wet and frosty, I don't want to risk leaving them. So yeah, priority job. Over into the cathedral bed. You can see now that I've stripped out nearly all of the Coco de Pampol. Pretty much gone. Are there a few left to pick down here? I'm talking about picking for seed now. I doubt it. I did a massive pick about a week ago. So this bed will also be fallow for the winter. So again, I'm just going to crop and drop this bed. Yay! I don't know if you can make out, that's the Savoy cabbages in the tunnel. They're bursting to get out. So I think I'll see how it goes over the next week or so and see how much butterfly activity I see. I'm talking about the cabbage whites. And if they seem to have stopped, I'll get all my nets off. Yay! That's what I tend to do each year, is I net them all while the butterflies are still active. Once the butterflies have gone, get the nets off, leave them over the winter. And I don't seem to have too much pigeon attack. I hope I haven't just jinxed myself. Behind them, I don't know if you will remember, but I used this area for some experimental bush type beans. They weren't great, none of them were great, but I've harvested all of them and they're all drying at home at the moment. And I'll just leave that's one random Brussels sprout, I'll just leave the nasturtiums where they are, because actually I want to get a harvest from them quite soon. Yeah. Again, they don't mind a bit of cold, but if we get some hard frosty nights, they will keel over. But for now, they can stay. I'll do my harvest from them, and then whatever's left, I'll get chopped up. It's a good bit of green to chop up to add to all the brown stuff that's coming out of the garden at the moment, to add to the compost heap. And yes, the squash are all starting to be revealed now that the foliage has really died back. So I've ended up with 3 delicata from 3 plants. Not a great squash here. Oh, look, the chard is still doing so well. I mean, that's just audacious, isn't it? Beautiful, glossy gorgeousness. I have been picking and picking and picking and picking this all summer. It just doesn't stop. I love having the chard because over the winter it's a nice sort of fleshy green to have as a supplement to all the sort of the more brassica-y greens. Gorgeous. But also, again, it's one of those things where it's a bit of life and a bit of colour in the garden as we go into winter, because, you know, let's face it, it can be a bit, well, not to put too fine a point on it, but it can be a bit depressing, can't it, when we go into winter? Having had all the sort of lushness and the bounty of summer, the contrast is pretty stark, isn't it? Now this, I do need to get a fleece too. This is my loofah. It's just, oh, it's slightly pathetic, isn't it? But, well, who knew? It's more than I got last year anyway. So I'm going to get a fleece sorted for that. Coming round. Oh, don't wash yourself there, Rosie. Again, more squash are starting to reveal themselves. These are the cream of the crop. They're slightly bonkers shape. They're rather like, oh, see if I can get a shot of that one in there because it's such a beauty. They're a bit like Carnival with the ribs and the round tops, but then they all go to a point. There are a couple of Carnivals in here too. Where are they? But even the Carnival, here we go. Even the Carnival this year are measly compared with last year. Look at that heavy dew on everything. It's definitely Wellington boot time again. And then this is another new squash to me this year. This is Burgess Buttercup. It's so odd. so flat at the top. No idea how it tastes, but I think I've got 1, 2, oh, and a real tiddler in there, 3. Oh well, like I say, I don't think it's not a squash year. I just can't take my eyes off the chard. It's definitely a chard year. It's always a chard year. And then last bit of the cathedral bed. Here are the sucrines du Berry, and they're squeezing in. They're starting to turn this lovely orange colour where they're facing the sun. Obviously they've had a bit more shade in there until now. And then this one has obviously had a lot of sun. Yay! And the last of the squash was my violina. I've got one from 2 plants, and it is a tiddler. I did have another, and you can see, rotted. Got another one down there trying to develop. But what's crazy is I noticed a few days ago, last time I was down to do any work, the squash is still sort of chucking out new tendrils and new flowers. Again, loads of nasturtiums everywhere. And like I say, I'll just do a massive harvest and then use them as a fab bit of green to chop into the compost. Lovely jubbly. The last couple of bean arches. So the gigantes, they're still so green. Look at this. Oh, beauties. Now what I'm thinking, yes, I'm thinking on my feet, I'm thinking out loud, but any like this, there's no way they're going to get dry enough now, so I'll have those off and harvest, store them demi-sec. Likewise, just coming around here, this is the last of the Coco Sophie. I've had so many off, it's been brilliant, really prolific. So there's a few to have off demi-sec, but mostly now this is all about seed saving. You can see on this section I've already stripped it, and likewise with the gigantes, as I was saying with the nasturtiums, I will in the next couple of weeks have everything off, everything that's left, and any of this green material, fab, get it chopped, get it on the ground. Oh, another one that needs to be picked demi-sec. Oh my goodness, there's quite a lot to do. I love the gigantes, how they've stayed green for so long. I think I'm going to do more next year. I love them as a bean. It's just lovely to have all that green still compared with, it's my other set of bean poles. This is all the beans for drying. Look, it's nothing. I mean, you can see all the beans hanging still, waiting to be dried. But yeah, that's a lovely sight. Oh, gorgeous. Okay, moving on. Jobs that I really must get on with. Harvesting calendula seed. Every time I think I want to do it, we get a load of rain. I think what I'm going to have to do, even though it's still quite damp, I'm just going to have to harvest a load, but instead of hanging it in bunches in bags where it might sweat, I think I'm just going to have to harvest and lay them all out on trays to dry thoroughly. Chickpeas, that's the next harvest. There's masses of them. I had some rose de bain, random rose de bain in there, and they all got blight because I wasn't paying attention. This one though didn't, so I left it. I think I'm going to be harvesting them green somehow. Oh, what a pity. Never mind, I've had plenty of other tomatoes. But yeah, that's definitely a hurry up and get on with it job. Another rather straggly, bare looking bed. This is all the rocking core that I left to go over for seed. So that all needs picking. So much picking to do still. The little random carnival I put in the end here is a spare. Excellent. Main crop spuds. Yes, that's my next job. they need to come out, because in here I need to plant my garlic. It's in, out, shake it all about at the moment. And then another case of carrots trying to escape. That's all the purple sprouting broccoli. Wow, it really has tried to escape. Can you see it's all smashing up against the top of the nets? Wow, yes. These nets need to come off now and let these beautiful babies grow. And I'm already looking forward to next February and March where I can scoff it. Yum, yum, yum. Oh, gorgeous celery. The celery, you know, it's kind of like the chard in a way. It just keeps coming and coming and coming, and it always looks so bright and vibrant and healthy and, oh, well, just delicious. Oh, I could roll in that and just rub myself in the smell of it. It's so yummy. The vast majority of the fennel are now over and bolted, but as you see here, I'm now, maybe I can't make that. I'm now just going to leave these ones for seed. Hurrah! I'm in no hurry to use the bed that they're in, so I might as well just leave them for seed. The only thing that would, oh, my tummy grumbled. The only thing that would make me change my mind about leaving them in is the fact that this bed, oh, so annoying. And you can see that they're quite weak because I keep having them out, but there's loads and loads of bindweed in here. So, you know, I know I've mentioned a few times that I want to be less dig, not no dig, but less dig. Well, this is one of those cases where actually I do want to dig. I want to get in there, get down as far as I can. I'll never get rid of it completely, but the further down I go to get it out, the weaker I'll make the plant, and hopefully the less of an issue it will be next year, because this will be tomatoes. Well, it would be tomatoes, except I'm going to rejig this whole bed next year, so this is probably going to be squash under here. Right then, so I'm a bit sniffy drippy. It's a cold morning. Paprika peppers, I've had a couple off already. Yum, yum, yum. But we're at various stages, as you can see. Some are pretty yellow still. Some are very much turning. And then others are, oh yes, they're ready for harvesting. Wonderful. Again, these have been great this year. I've really enjoyed them. Oh, the beautiful rustle of the flint corn. Oh, look at these cobs now. They were so late to the party too. So I think what I'll do with the flint corn, it seems like a pretty hardy tufty plant. I'm not going to be in a hurry to harvest them. It's hard to make out the cobs in there, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not going to be in a hurry to harvest them. Certainly not as much as other things, so that's probably going to be left probably right till the end of October. And hopefully, hopefully there'll be more surprises in here than I realise. But look, they're so tiddly and pathetic, they've come so late. Oh well, keep the faith, Vivi, keep the faith. And next door, oh, it really does start to feel like winter, doesn't it? This is all the Cavallo Nero. Oh, this one's a beauty already. Do you know, I think I can start picking. And then next door to it, I've got some scarlet kale. I know it's really hard to see in the nets, isn't it? It's annoying. That's another reason I like to get my nets off after the butterfly action, because I want to see all these gorgeous veggies. I love that crinkly curl. But yeah, they are another brassica that's reached the top of the nets, even though these are taller nets. Oh, they just want to get out, don't they? Another let us escape department. This is all the calabrese, broccoli. Yes, I will free them. Enjoy your freedom. And then this is another set of nets that can come off soon, because the carrot fly has stopped doing its naughty. If I was going to grow the leeks over winter, I'd need to leave the nets on, because the allium leaf miner has another laying session between October and November. But I'm not leaving these over winter. That's not what I ever intended for them. They were intended to be had out as little skinny ones, like a summer crop, before the miner had a chance to get to them, because even with netting, the last 2 years have been rubbish for me for leeks. So they're all going to come out. Like I say, they're just little skinny ones, partly because they were sown in clusters. But whatever's there, that'll get chopped up and put in the freezer. And then I can have a handful out every now and again for soups over the winter. Gorgeous. Oh, and look, the herb bed. That's also looking rather tired, isn't it? There's still a little bit of colour in there. You know, it's things like the contrast of the foliage of the lavender with the hyssop. It's nice. It's giving a bit of interest even now. A little bit of visual pleasingness. Gosh, these calendula don't know when to stop either, do they? Because they're so happy to keep growing, I think I might deadhead this lot and just see if they will still keep coming. Now this is something I mustn't forget. That in there is the mountain tea, and I want to give it a bit of protection, but I'll explain that when I come to do it. Oh, lovely. Oh, the feverfew. The feverfew does not know when to stop flowering. Beautiful. And actually in front of it, in the bucket here, is the chamomile I started from seed. Oh, beautiful growth in there. It's looking really healthy. A few more heads to harvest. That's 1 cup of tea to harvest. And I need to get it planted instead of being in the bucket. And this gorgeous colour on my blueberry bushes. Isn't that lovely? Loving it. Okay, nearly there. The Taunton Dean. It's just massive. Actually, it was too big, so I gave it a massive pruning. Just walking backwards, I'm going to try and come this way to show you. I gave it a massive prune, and I just shared out the prunings amongst other plot holders to scoff on. Oh, it's been great. I need to start thinking about some cuttings from that. I'll probably do that in the spring. And then here we have the first signs of frost damage. So the French peppers, the Dulong Delonde, more to pick. They're still coming. Oh, my beauties. Oh, there's loads in there still. Yeah, let's have another pick of those. But this has not liked the drop in temperature, the achocha. Oh dear. I suppose, yeah, there's still a few fruits I can get off there. But look. So just when I finally discover that I like it, it's dying back. So the lesson is, don't leave it too long to try something, because if you like it, make the most of it and get some good harvests. Now, how are these peppers doing? Oh, yeah, some more in there to harvest. So yeah, I think that's the main strand theme to myself for October, is certainly in the next few days get harvesting anything that's tender, achocha, peppers, tomatoes, etc. And it's all systems go to get literally everything else out, harvested, dried, whatever's happening to them. Get the beds tucked up for winter and enjoy my winter food as we head into winter. Lovely. You know, it's not, considering we are at the beginning of October, it's not looking too bad, I don't think. There's still masses and masses of food in there. There's still a lot of lovely colour to enjoy. A lot of green. Oh, lovely. This has been so wonderful this year. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Oh, I've got a bit more lavender to harvest too. And it's not just about my enjoyment of the garden, is it? Oh, it's a little kitty cat paradise too. On that note, I'm going to bid you all a fond farewell and cheerio. I'll see you soon out here, cracking into some of this work. Have a great October, everybody.